This segment is called Memories of New Year. Chandreyee was born in Kolkata in eastern India but grew up in Africa and the Middle East. She works in environmental management and in her spare time writes short fiction, tells personal stories, and produces and coaches storytelling shows. One of the storytelling shows she curates is Voices, that brings the real experiences of South Asian immigrants to a larger audience. It is produced by the Bengali theatre group of Kendrick. Take it away, Chandreyee.
Thank you, Madhubani. Thank you for having us here. It's a pleasure and passion of mine to bring true stories from people's lives. This is what I do for Kendrick as well. Please follow us and watch our show Voices, which happens every other year. Next year is the next one, where we try to bring true stories about South Asian immigrant experiences to the greater Boston audience. So today we have a treat in store. We have 4 wonderful storytellers on the stage right here. The theme is New Year, and as many of you know who are from India, there are many Indias within that one country because really we're a subcontinent. You cross state lines and the language changes, the culture changes, the food changes. And we tend to develop these distinct state identities. I am Bengali, Amandeep Singh is Punjabi, Nayantara is South Indian, Konkani, Harini is South Indian, Gouri Datta is Bengali. But the fact of the matter is, India is a melting pot, just like this country that we're all in right now. That when we travel to another state, when we live in another country, we bring a little piece with us. So the 4 stories I'm absolutely delighted to have helped these storytellers tell their completely true stories from their lives run the whole gamut of New Year's experiences. Some stories are about the unique tradition in a certain part of the country. Some stories are about a unique tradition in a family. Other stories are about being displaced. But they're all stories about humanity triggered by memories of New Year. So with that, I would like to introduce our first teller. It would be really good if we could keep the speaking down, please. It's a little distracting to the tellers. Oh, I think this is the door opening. So our first teller starting us off is Harini Aiyer. A round of applause, please. Preemptive. It is not easy to be sharing stories with the public, and a lot of these people are doing it for the first time. Harini's actually been on Voices, so she's a great storyteller. Harini was born and raised in Chennai in the south of India, in the state of Tamil Nadu. She grew up listening to her grandmother's stories, which put the storytelling bug in her. She currently does stand-up comedy and storytelling whenever she gets a chance. So, over to Harini.
Thanks, Chandreyee. Because I'm a stand-up comic, I'm not going to stand behind a podium. It's too restrictive for me. Tamil New Year is April 14th. And for 2 reasons, it's my second favorite holiday after Diwali. The first reason is that the first 2 weeks of April used to always be final exams. And me, being the consummate nerd that I am, I always stressed out a lot about the final exams. And I was always working hard and trying to get the most marks, because in final exams in India, when we were growing up, if you didn't do well in that one last exam, your whole year's work was just a wash. So it was very stressful. And April 14th was the first day, it was the kickoff of the summer, and it was the first day that I didn't have to study and I could completely relax. The second reason was due to a traditional, a family tradition that was unique to our family. Obviously on April 14th, we had the traditional feast. My mom, like all moms, woke up early in the morning and prepared the feast. Multiple dishes, couple of dishes that would only make their appearance once a year on Tamil New Year's. One of these was Vepambu Pachidi. This is a concoction of neem flower and jaggery, very bitter because of the neem flower, and the jaggery tried to mask the bitterness. So it was a taste that was very unique that you had to get used to. I grumbled every year, but I ate it all the same. And after the traditional feast and the requisite nap was done, our house became a center of bustling activity because we were preparing, packing, deciding what to wear for the next month since this kicked off our travel. You see, my parents worked for the banks in India and they got travel reimbursement. And every year on April 15th, they bundled us up and we boarded the Indian Railways to explore different destinations across the length and breadth of India. I remember once our train was delayed and we were going to a hill station, like it was a destination in a mountainous region. Our train was really delayed and we went to the bus depot that was supposed to take us to our final destination, and the last bus to our destination had already left. I was 8 and I was completely beside myself. What do you mean we have to stay on the platform? Do we have to sleep on the dusty, dirty platform? And my mom was, yes, there are no hotels around. We can't make a phone call. We don't have any friends or relatives that we could just go and show up. So yes, we're gonna have to sleep on the platform. But she did this one thing. She got some newspapers from the shop and she wrapped my sister and up in newspapers so that we were both warm and clean. And we spent the night under the starry sky in the mountain air, drifting off to sleep with our head on our mother's lap, listening to her telling stories of her childhood. Another time, my father and I got left out of this group that we were traveling with, and I was and I probably am still a very high-strung individual. So I was completely having a meltdown. What do you mean the group left us? How are we going to find our way back? And my dad, instead of indulging my freak out, said, "Listen, kid, calm down. We're going to have our own adventure." And he took me to these different places that we would never have visited had we been with the group. And in the end, we ended up joining our group, but we had our own adventure. I have traveled the world by myself as an adult, and these experiences have opened up my mind and made me grow as an individual. But I must thank my parents, really, for handing me the tools to both have and enjoy these adventures. And for me, Tamil New Year's will always be the day that these adventures kicked off. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harini. Goes to show there are the traditions we inherit and there are the traditions we make, and they can both be beautiful parts of our identity. Our next teller is Nayantara Bhat, who was born in Udupi, Karnataka, and grew up in Bombay and in Delhi. She works in supply chain quality of a pharma company, loves to read, and loves to knit. And I'm really excited for you to hear her story. Round of applause for Nayantara. Thank you, gentlemen.
Mommy, how did you celebrate New Year in India? My friend said it is on January 1st. Is that true? And they don't have the December 31st celebrations either. asked my 7-year-old daughter out of nowhere after she had barged into my study and flung herself at me. Let me see what I can share with you as I travel back in time. Oh, sorry. Everyone can hear me? Yeah. Naina, mind you don't smudge the rangoli as you come in and out of the house. Along with my mother's sharp reminder, I have faint recollections of the fluttering of the toran of mango leaves with the occasional breeze and the feast that my mom made for our family of 4. These were the only things that came to mind of a lame and boring celebration of a festival falling in March, associated with the southern region of India along the Konkan coast, whereas I was growing up in New Delhi. In the north, where our neighbors were from Punjab, UP, Haryana, and other northern areas, who had a different New Year's date around mid-April. I felt a sadness seep through me as I went down memory lane, with my curious 7-year-old daughter looking up at me, waiting for my answer. Her memories of New Year's will be of Times Square ball drops, fireworks, and hanging out with friends on the day before New Year's. I had no such communal memories to hold on to, but life never stays the same, as I realized when we moved to Mumbai in Maharashtra in my 18th year. Shakuntala Ben, all set? Is Naina helping you prepare? Can I borrow some of the red color for my rangoli? Do you want some of ours? Our neighbors called out in tandem and randomly to my mom on the day of the first New Year in Mumbai, where our neighbors were mostly Maharashtrians and Gujaratis with a few Rajasthanis thrown in. Happy Yugadi, this was the southern Indian greeting, and Happy Gouri Datta, Maharashtrian greeting, was also being called out to each other and around as the ladies sat doing the rangoli or stringing the mango leaves in a toran for the door. Each house with doors wide open to welcome the new year, as well as any well-wishers dropping by to partake in the celebration. For the first time in many years, it felt that New Year was a community celebration, whether it be Yugadi or Gouri Datta, tomato, or a rose by any other name. Even the difference of hoisting Gouri or the bamboo stick covered with colorful swatches of cloth outside their houses did not seem divisive. Mommy, I think I hear my friend at the door, said my daughter, bringing me back to the present. I hugged her tightly before she ran away and told her, tonight I will tell you a bedtime story of a girl who was about your age, who always felt lonely on Yugadi till the time she finally found her circle of friends. After she had run away, I realized I was never a curious child. At least I did not question the festivals and never compared the way they were celebrated. Thanks to my daughter and her endless curiosity, questions, I am forced to seek out answers and ways to keep my roots alive for my family and me. Thank you for joining me.
I'm so delighted with that story. And it goes to show our kids keep us honest, right? And sometimes they make us realize things that we wouldn't know because we never think back enough. So our next teller, and actually I wasn't telling you about the regions that people represented. Harini is from the south. Nayan, you were supposed to be representing the west, but I think you brought everything together. Our next teller, Amandeep, is kind of from the north because he's from Punjab. He is an IT engineer by profession, but a poet by heart. He's very modest to say that because he is actually, Mr. Singh is also a published author. He's from the land of 5 rivers, Punjab, India. He has written 4 books, first ever book of science fiction, short stories, 2 children's books, and this is the most wonderful thing. He runs a website called punjabikids.org, which is a website dedicated to Punjabi children. I encourage you all to go check it out. And now I'm excited for you to hear Amandeep Ji's story about a very memorable New Year.
I grew up in rural Punjab, the land of 5 rivers. You know, that place is called breadbasket of India. It's like sunshine and golden wheat fields stretching forever. And in April, after Vaisakhi, when Vaisakhi comes, the whole place is just burst into celebration. Vaisakhi is the new year, right? Farmers had sold their harvest and now they have money to celebrate. Everyone is happy. People dancing to the tunes of Bhangra music, you just saw, eating fresh, crisp jalebis and other sweets. The air of festivities everywhere, especially at city of Anandpur Sahib, which is the birthplace of Sikhism, where everyone gathers to pay their respects to the Guru. But my Vaisakhi memories is not the sweets or the dancing. It's the service, seva, which is big in Sikhism. This idea of serving others, as our Guru says, makes you humble and your ego vanishes from the within. Since I was little around 5 to 6 years old, every year on Vaisakhi, I used to go to Anandpur Sahib with my father and perform the community service to take care of the shoes and other belongings of the devotees who come to pay respects. We would set up these camps to hold people's shoes while they went to Gurdwara, which is Sikh temple. And you know, when you visit a Gurdwara, you have to cover your head and remove your shoes. So we would give them tokens to keep their belongings safe. It was very busy, but it was fulfilling. For me, it was like going to a summer camp. There were other families and kids of my age performing seva with us. I made a few friends. I would see them every year. Manpreet, Sarbjit, Kulvinder. We would do our seva, but we would also roam around in the bazaar. The shops, the sights, the crowd. It was so fun. And then, this one Vaisakhi day in 1980, Kulvinder, my friend, said, let's go to the Gurdwara to take Prasad. Prasad? That sweet heavenly stuff, a kind of porridge made from equal amounts of split wheat, sugar and desi ghee. We couldn't resist. We always licked our fingers covered with ghee afterwards. But on Vaisakhi, you know, there are thousands of people who want to go to see this magnificent Gurdwara and pay their respect. Gurdwara is on a hill and there is a saffron flag waving all around, and there are about 100 stairs that will lead to the Gurdwara up to it. Usually I would go with my dad, but this time just Kulvinder and I, both about 10 years old, went. We paid our respects and got the prasad. It was so yummy. But the crowd, imagine a sea of people all pushing, wanting to get in and out, eager to get blessings of the Guru. While we were going down to the stairs, thousands of people started pouring out, all at once, as the service had just ended. We both were stuck in that wave of people, unable to control us. Kulvinder was pushed to the other end, and I was stuck in the middle. It was like a roller coaster ride. Kulvinder, Kulvinder, I yelled, but we lost each other. I was so scared. Usually it takes no time to come down the stairs on those steps, but it felt like an eternity on that day. I was scared as hell. But with my Guru's blessings with me, I mustered my courage and gathered my wits I saw the railing on the other end and started moving towards it to hold on to it. And I started taking control just a little bit. Steady and carefully, I made my way down. Kulwinder was waiting for me there. I was so glad to see him. That moment, it changed me forever. I found confidence, strength, and also being cautious at the same time. I learned that even when you feel completely lost, you can find your way one step at a time because that little bit of self-belief is all you really need. Thank you.
That was so lovely. So this is the thing, is we have memories of New Year's, birthdays, and these moments in our lives, but sometimes there's the smallest of a thing that happens that changes who we are for the rest of our lives. And sometimes you don't even realize it until you cast your eyes backwards, which is what Amandeep just told us on his journey. So thank you so much for that. So we are almost at the end of our segment. Our last but not least teller is Gouri Datta, who was born in Varanasi. She is Bengali. She's born in Varanasi and she grew up in Bihar. Gouri is a psychiatrist by profession, loves reading, especially poetry, and she won't say this herself, but she's also a very good writer. And I'm really excited to hear her story today. Gouri Datta.
I am a Bengali, but grew up in Patna in the state of Bihar in India. I was raised by my grandparents in a very conservative Hindu Bengali household. As an adult, I have realized something about my Didu. This is what I called my grandmother. Much like us immigrants here in America, I think that Didu clung harder to Bengali traditions to recreate the world she had lost when she moved away from Bengal. One of my earliest memories was Didu yelling from the puja room, "Someone open the back door for Nathani." Nathani was our milkman. He brought us fresh milk from his 2 cows early every morning. And Didu actually doted on him. Every day she would ask about his wife's health, his older daughter's report card. If he had a headache, she would offer him medicine from her own stock. But all this affection was offered from a distance. In reality, he stayed outside the door and was not even allowed to touch the milk pitcher as he poured. In case you have not guessed, it is because in her strictly Hindu view, a Muslim's touch was taboo. If my Didu was here today and I told her that she was a bigot, she would be horrified. A bigot would not care about Nathani, would not care for Nathani, she would say. This taboo was just tradition to her. The next memory I'm about to share is when I was 13 years old. I was in standard 6 in school. It must have been late March because I remember it was close to the Bengali New Year, which was April 14. At lunchtime that day, I went to my favorite wooden bench in the schoolyard and opened up my tiffin box. Didu had packed my favorite mixed fruit jam sandwich. Then, out of nowhere, a pair of black wings descended upon me. The feathers furiously beat my face, and before I knew what had happened, a bird was flying back into the sky, clutching my beloved sandwich in its claws. I was left looking at my empty lunchbox, still in shock. Then, a soft voice next to me said, "Do you want half my lunch?" That was the first time I met Selina Alam. She was in the same class but in a different section. I had not talked to her before. As we munched through Selina's delicious paratha, I discovered that she had a unique interest in Urdu poetry. I was stunned for the second time that day because poetry was my passion too. But I had no idea about Urdu Sher-o-Shairi. And just like that, a new and mesmerizing world opened up to me. Selina felt the same way as I introduced her to Tagore's poetry from Bengal. Over the next few weeks, this shared passion made our friendship grow at a rapid pace. I found myself wishing we could spend more time together outside the limited hours of school. The Bengali New Year of Poila Boishakh was coming closer. All we talked about at home were all the wonderful dishes that Didu would cook for the New Year, including the dessert payesh made of rice, thickened milk, almonds, raisins, etc. A few days before the feast, I suddenly had an idea. Selina could come to visit. Didu was such a great cook. Then we could spend the day discussing poetry. And she could listen to my mother singing Rabindra Sangeet. We would all wear new clothes. I could even buy a new sash for Selina. Then, suddenly, a picture of Nathani, the milkman, popped into my head. Of course, my shoulders slumped. Selina was a Muslim, just like him. I had no chance of Didu agreeing for her to come. Every day, I rode the bus home from school. I rehearsed different ways of asking Didu, but I could imagine her reply to each one of my requests. No, no. Of course, this was because Selina was a Muslim. My mind ran in circles as I worried over this. I even started losing sleep. April 12th came. 2 more days to go. It was evening, and Didu was writing expenses in her grocery notebook at her desk. I mustered up all the courage and said, Didu, can I ask you something? She said, without looking up, still jotting notes. I stumbled through my rehearsed speech and how Selina and I both loved reading poetry and how much she would enjoy all of Didu's special Bengali cooking. If only we could invite her. Then, before I could lose my nerve, I took a deep breath and added, she's Muslim, Didu, but she's also my friend. I like her a lot. Please, please don't say no. Didu was quiet for a long time, still looking down at her notebook. My heart was beating so fast that my chest hurt. Then, Didu's pen started moving again. I almost collapsed from the stress, thinking surely that no was going to come. After what seemed like a very, very long time, Didu said in a quiet tone, I will get some halal meat from the bazaar. Tell your friend Selina I will make halal keema for her. She will like that. Just like that, a big sigh escaped from my chest. That day, to my young heart was added a new understanding of how love could transcend prejudice on some occasions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all your patience and your encouragement. Thank you to these wonderful tellers who shared of their lives. I hope this was a nice glimpse into different traditions and how We are united even when we are very, very different all across the country, all over the world. Thank you to Madhuvanidhi for inviting us to curate this, and Happy New Year, everyone.